Welcome to Fantasy Baseball, Baseball, Baseball. I'm Dan O'Day along with Steve Romano. Hey, Steve.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well because we are about to talk about baseball. We were talking about baseball before we were recording. Now we're going to talk about baseball more. And specifically, we're going to talk about the head-to-head league we are in Yahoo. It's a 14-team league, Field of Dreams.
It was a big week this week. As we discussed last week, everything's close. Like the top seven are within like 5.5 games last week,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
top 10 were in 11 games last week. So yeah, everything's tight. Everything matters. Good matchups.
Good matchups. And, everything was tight as can be. And one of the things I loved, the biggest win was from a team in 14th place, and all the other ones were tighter. So let's get right into the action. And, I'd like to talk about my team, the Stony Sliders. And we were playing Juiced Up for Summer. We were actually the matchup of the week. And it was close. It was 5-5. And it was pretty crazy. I had 5-4, and then Juiced Up for Summer got the last save of the night last night. Mason Miller.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm up
love
five
Mason
four.
Miller.
It was tight most of the week. Um, there was some moves made. He picked up T. Wells from Baltimore and got a save from Wells,
Wow.
which he ended up taking the saves category 3-2. Then, like I said, he picked up that Miller late night save. Not the last game. I think the Boston game was actually after the Dodger game. And I don't know if there was a save in that game. Let's go into the numbers. 5-5. I took three pitching categories, but Juiced Up for Summer took two. And that saves 3-2 he took, and wins 6-4. Had more innings, 65-54. And I took ERA 5.10 to 5.48 and took whip 1.35 to 1.36. And that
That one,
late
yeah.
Miller made it close. So get this, Steve. So I picked a couple of players up. I was worried I didn't want to lose the K category. And so on Sunday, I had four pitchers going. I think SoCal had two. I'll go look. And then as the games went by, I had two later players, the Angels and the Red Sox game. I had Johnson and Suarez.
Mm,
So
yeah.
before that game started, I'm looking at the stats and I'm like, well, he's not going to catch up in strikeouts. I'm not going to catch him in wins. I'm like, I sat two starters because I didn't want to lose that whip category, as we just saw. It was so close. And so those
Yeah.
two starters had whips of 1.75 and 2.25. So sitting those guys, the late decision, looking at the numbers, paid off for me when it came to that category.
Yeah. Good move. I love it when those no start, when you make the call, like, I'm not going to start this pitcher.
Yeah, for a
And it
reason.
works.
And it
It
worked.
works.
And it worked.
Yeah.
I was like, and I would have lost whip. So, and then I had 5-4. I thought I had it, but the late save made it 5-4. In the offensive categories, though, Juice Up for Summer took three of the five categories, 15-8 home runs, 46-23 in ribbies, and 6-3 in stolen bases. I did take runs, 34-29, and batting average relatively close, 279 to 261. So that was a 5-5 tie, which did nothing for me. I mean, I'm glad I didn't lose, but I'm just treading water, right?
Yep. And we're running out of weeks, but you were playing the team in third place, right? So,
I was just, yeah.
I mean,
Yes, exactly.
could have been worse. Could have
Could
been
have been
worse.
worse. It could have been worse. My winning streak is over. Then we're going to go right into this. I'm sorry, Steve. You're going to go third because this was the biggest win differential. We had some 6-4s and we had some 5-5s, and well, your 5-3 is pretty big, but Lollygaggers beat the Baltimore Chop 6-3, and it's relevant because Baltimore Chop, I think, was third or fourth or somewhere up top at the time, now fifth. Lollygaggers in 14th place. So I love it. I bring it up every week. These teams out of the playoff reach can be spoilers, and there's a spoiler matchup right there, Steve.
Yeah, that was the one. That was like the biggest. opportunity as far as just teams in the standings. Um, you have the team at the bottom playing a team at the top, but nice show by lollygaggers, taking
Abs-
6-3.
Absolutely. Some moves were made, I believe. We'll see later. We're looking at the numbers. They took all the offensive categories 39 to 28 runs, 14 homers to 5. 43 ribbies to 29. 43 is right under the 44 I had, which is the league high for the season. 7 to 5 in stolen bases and 304 to 264 in average. So Lollygaggers swept it 191 at bats to 220 for Chop. So they both were very active getting their at bats. And then in the pitching category, though, Chop saved themselves with one tied category and three wins. Wins was 4 to 4. ERA was 3.05 to 5.66 for Lollygaggers, and WHIP was 1.12 for Chop and 1.45 for Lollygaggers. And then the K's was 69 to 53 in Lollygaggers' favor. The one category Lollygaggers took in pitching, but a big win for Lollygaggers, playing spoiler, being active. I love it, Steve.
Yeah, and as a team that's chasing Baltimore Chop, I double love it.
Absolutely. I love that too for that reason. Thank you, Lollygaggers. I am behind Baltimore Chop. And I just love a league that, listen, I'm out of it, but I'm going to stay active. I'm going to beat this. I'm going to rise to the occasion. Then we'll go into your matchup, Steve, because it was a good win for you. You only got 5 wins, but you had 5-3-2 with two ties against SoCal Stat Stuffers. You won 5-3-2. And you needed those numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, same as you and more desperate because I'm a 5 games behind the pack. I need wins, like, ties. Big wins would help, but a 2-win game gain is solid at this point. Still,
Absolutely. And
still 4 weeks to go.
those ties help, and when they figure it out, they do. They're better losses, obviously, but such a close matchup. I'm looking at the numbers right now, Steve, and I see the runs category was 32 to 31. You took home runs was 10 to 10 for one of the two ties. So Cal Stat Stuffers took RBIs 31 to 29. You took stolen bases 4 to 2, and average 274 to 241. But a couple close categories. Anything you can share with us going into the last day? Did you score more runs? Did they score more
Well,
runs?
well, definitely the whole week it was up and down. Like I would look one day, and sure, there's the big changes in the first couple of days, depending on who's got games played on Mondays or
Right.
whatever. But like by Thursday, it was like, oh yeah, up. I'm up 6-4, and then 3 hours later, look, and I'm like, what? Now I'm down 4-5, and then the next day, things would happen during day games. I was down 3-6. Then I was like up 5-3, 5-4, and going into Sunday, I think they had the lead on Sunday morning. No,
No, they ended up with 6 runs. I don't know about the morning, but they ended up with 6 runs to your 4 runs. So in the run category, I don't know if they were
okay.
overall lead, and I'll look to see who had home runs. So go
Well,
on.
I was watching the Red Sox game last night. I watched the Red Sox Angels, and I know for a fact Jaron Duran hits a home run,
Yeah, you had one
and
home run.
that solo home run at the time tied me in home runs and tied me in runs.
Yes, you would be correct. Their home run was by Reynolds, which is earlier in the day. So that late home run tied you in home runs. Pretty impressive, actually.
And that run gave me 31 runs. So, like,
At
right
the
there,
time. Right, right.
at the time. And then I got another run from Duran again that put me ahead 32.
And that ended up at 34. So very close offensive categories. I just want to point out that SoCal Stat Stuffers, uh, you know, they really put up a good fight. They're behind. Where are they in the standings? They're right around you, aren't they? Really close to you.
Yeah. We were like, I think I was 2 games behind them going into the matchup.
Going to
And
the
now
pitching
it's,
categories, yeah. So you that really worked out well for you. The 5-3-2. The pitching category is 6-6 in wins. Did you how'd that play out? Was there a close win at the end for either one?
on the weekend. Yeah. We both were getting wins. But also, I had I had some bad pitching and they got nervous.
Oh, you did. You got nervous about
Yeah.
ERA and whip. Oh wow. So
Yeah.
6-6 in
Whip for
wins.
sure.
You took ERA 3.38 to 4.40, but you, like I, had a very close whip, 1.25 to 1.26. Did you sit people or pitch people or do anything like I did?
There was one pitcher I did not start, and then one pitcher I wish I wouldn't have started. So yeah,
SoCal stat stuffers took the 3-1 in the saves categories. As we know, you don't really have closers, and 63 and 54 had less innings than you by seven almost, but 63 to 54 in K. So a close matchup, 5-3, 2. And so we move on because it's all about the close matchups this week because we go to the number one team, Humboldt Crabs and Commission. They played Bellingham Bells and they tied 5-5.
that was a big matchup too. Bellingham Bells had an opportunity to make some dent, but it ends up they just all went toe to toe.
They went toe to toe, and it was toe to toe in different categories. So, because Crabs took the offensive categories 4-1, and Bells took the pitching categories 4-1. And so runs was 40 to 34, homers 16 to 12, ribbies 54 ribbies,
Whoa!
a new weekly record for the year. 26 for
Smashing,
Bells. No, I had 44.
smashing the previous record, right?
Previous
Damn.
high record, or no, this year was 44 me. I saw. We'll get into that post later by
Yeah,
Kamish. And but 54 is a new record for the year. That's a lot of ribbies. 3-2 in
I
stolen
know.
bases. Bells took the one category of stolen bases and 256 to 268 in average, and that's closer than you think. But then when it came to pitching, Bells took 4-1. 72.2 innings to 50 innings. Humboldt Crabs lost the wins 5-3, K's 88 to 50, ERA 310 to 7.56, whip 111 to 164. I mean, I think Crabs got to a point, he's like, my pitching is so bad, it doesn't really matter if I chase some wins or
Yeah,
whatever, or K's. 38 K's behind. 4-2 in the saves categories. Humboldt Crabs got them decent closers, but totally opposite approaches to that week matchup offensively for the Crabs and pitching wise for the Bells in a 5-5 tie.
yeah. Krabs really has had a couple of scuffling weeks, right? The first
Yeah.
place team.
Yeah. Take
Let's
a
see,
look.
Humboldt Crabs.
Bells, while you look that up, Bells really would love to have had a better week, but going against first place club, the tie, you'll take it.
Yeah, yeah. Check this out. Humboldt Crabs has lost four in a row, and then this tie.
What?
Three in a row. They lost 3-7, 4-5, 4-5, and then they tied 5-5.
Wow. So a lot of fair to Midland matchups where they're kind of, I wonder if they're all, we could go back and look, but we're not going to, where offensively really good, pitching having trouble. I don't know, but a lot of splits the last few weeks for Humboldt Crabs. A nice matchup. And then we go right into another 5-5 tie with another two playoff contending teams, the Braves and the Mr. Awesome's Momos 5-5 tie.
That was another big matchup. I mean, a lot of great matchups this week.
Oh yeah, man, it was great. 5-5 tie, and the same thing here. Momos took four of the five offensive categories. Atlanta Braves took four of the five pitching categories. And if I remember looking, I thought the Atlanta Braves made a late move that paid off for them. Um, let's see if I can find it real quick. But it was a nice matchup. I was watching some of the numbers this week, and the Atlanta Braves on Sunday had, 270 average, two homers, 9 runs, 8 ribbies on Sunday for the Atlanta Braves. And but they also got one win, one save, a 3.38 ERA, and a 0.88 WHIP on Sunday for the Braves. So a lot of close matchups this week, Steve. Another 5-5 tie between Braves and Momos, two playoff teams.
And the hitting pitching split, how like one team seems to dominate and the other
Right.
side.
Absolutely. And listen, I got to go look at Momos because I'm about to go through the matchup numbers, but I just went over the numbers for Braves on Sunday, on Momos on Sunday, batted 303 with 5 runs, 9 ribbies, but a 1 ERA and a 1-1 whip and only 9 innings and 7 Ks. It was a very close, another 5-5 tie. The Braves and Momos, and we go through the pitching categories, and it was 5-4 Braves, and the pitching wins. We got that win on Sunday, 3-2 in the saves. I think they got that save on Sunday. 57-44 in Ks, though, the Momos took, and a 1-2-1 whip for Braves and a 1-2-6 whip for Momos. But they both had 3.64 ERA. I don't see the next number on the phone, but Braves 3.64 was lower than Momo's 3.64.
Yeah, apparently.
The next number was lower. We don't have it in front of us. And then in the offensive categories, 10-9, Braves took homers, but Momo swept everything else, 41-32 in runs, 37 ribbies to 26, 9 stolen bases to 5. That's a lot of stolen bases, and 306 to 274 in the average category. Pretty another 5-5 tie. And it's just like all these really close matchups. And the last two ones weren't ties, but they're as close as you can be, Steve. IP Tigers and Raptor. This a Raptor, a top two team now, 6-4 win over IP Tigers. Nice seeing the IP Tigers make some moves, make this a close contest. Lost 4-6 to Raptor.
Yeah, IP Tiger's been making a lot of moves and a lot of solid moves.
A lot of
Really, I
solid
mean,
moves. And they
I give
paid
them
off.
credit for that.
They paid off. And once again, Steve, Raptor took all the offensive categories, and IP Tigers took 4 of 5 pitching categories. So another split.
Yeah, heavy split for sure. And the one category in pitching that Raptor took, I mean, they had a 20 inning advantage. So
20,
it's under,
77.2 to 57 innings, and they took the 5-4 in wins. But IP took 5-2 and saved 60-59. So 77
oh,
innings, but lost the Ks to a 57 innings. So high strikeout per inning week for IP Tigers. But ERA was 3 to 5.10, and WHIP was 105 to 127. But offensively, we only had one really close, two possibly categories, 30-28 in runs Raptor took, and 250-239 in average. But the rest of the offensive categories swept by Raptor, 7-2 in stolen bases, 31-20 in ribbies, and 7-3 in homers. Close matchup. Once again, I love seeing these teams out of playoff contention being spoilers. Not a big win for Raptor, just a 6-4 win.
yeah, definitely. Nice showing. Raptors playing well though. Anytime keep the wins rolling, they've been doing well too.
And then the last matchup that we need to go over has an interesting twist to it also. Lumber Company won 6-4, and Creek Expos did not get their innings. They had 24.2 innings.
Really?
Yep. And if you look at the numbers, they had a lower whip and a lower ERA, um, and more wins and more saves than Lumber Company. But Lumber Company swept the category because you got to get your innings. So just
Oh,
point 0.1 off. So Creek Expos, tough on that. Creek Expos did take 4 of the 5 offensive categories, 264-232, an average 4-0 in stolen bases, 32-25 in ribbies, 9-8 in homers, close category. And then Lumber Company took 36-28 in runs. So I think that's the first not getting their innings, isn't it, that we've come across this year?
yeah. Oh, that I've even noticed, to be honest, for this year for sure, because we've been paying such close attention. But also for it to happen on a week where you would have won all 5 of the category. Oh no, 4 of them. Got you 4 of them.
4 of them, but still, yeah, tough. Tough. And listen, Lumber's in 11th. You know, uh, you know, Expos, is 11th. I mean, the Lumber's in 13th, and Expos may be busy, maybe
Yeah.
feeling way down there, 24 games back. Because
Hey.
listen, Creek Expos, IP Tigers, Lumber Company, and Lollygaggers, they're out of playoff contention. And so
Yeah.
that's why it was nice to see IP Tigers and Lollygaggers and even Lumber there. Make some moves, get some wins. I totally understand. That's why I'm so excited when I see the teams making moves and winning, because I totally understand checking out or being busy. There is life. Not everyone just thinks about baseball 24/7, 7 days a week. And so, that's an issue in my world for other people, but not for me, Steve. I love baseball. And so um, that is a shame to see. 24.2 also, Steve.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
a
That's, I mean,
third of
so
an inning.
close.
A third of an inning off.
You know, that could also be too, if you went back and looked through the week, it could be like, oh, they had good starters, but they didn't go deep innings or something, or who
Right.
knows? Someone got skipped in a rotation, you
Right.
know.
I had the lineup set to get all the innings, but well, Woodruff. I see that they had Woodruff, and Woodruff came out of the game.
Yep,
There's
they
one
got
that
I'm
easily could have
familiar.
pitched to one third of an inning more, right?
Easily. He was pitching well.
Absolutely. So that changes the standings just a little, but the tight standings are a little tighter for the 8, 9, and 10 teams who are still in it. And just a little rearranged for the top 7 teams, which have 5.5 games between them. So Humboldt Crabs still in first. Raptor 2 games behind Humboldt Crabs. Juiced Up for Summer 3 games behind Humboldt Crabs in third. Mr. Awesome's Malmos in fourth now, 4.5 games back. Baltimore Chop basically tied 4.5 games back behind Momos in fifth place. Atlanta Braves now in sixth place, 5 games back. And then I'm in seventh place, which just seems like for a few weeks now, 5.5 games back. And that is tight as can be.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, everybody, you stayed the same. The top six reshuffled a bit. Yeah. And then the three that were trailing the pack shuffled a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And just think that late save that was got against me by Juiced Up for Summer. That is I'm tied. That half game right there, right? I get that. I got a tie there. That probably moves me up a little.
I mean, last week, just like this week, the top six are separated by 5 games. And the seventh team on the outside looking in is only a half game behind them.
And as you
And
stipulated, Humboldt Crabs 2 games up Raptor and 3 games up on Juiced for Summer. A lot of fair to middling weeks the last 3 to 4 weeks. So this thing is anybody's race. And then behind those teams are you at eighth place, which is the highest you've been this year, I think. Bellingham Bell's in ninth place. You're 10 games back. Bell's 11 games back in first place. And SoCal Stat Stuffers tied with Bell's basically 11 games back. But you guys are you're 5.5. No, you're 4.5 games behind me. Wow, 5 games behind a playoff spot, and they're only 6 games behind a playoff spot.
yep. But like I said, 8, 9, and 10 shuffled. 10 was 6 games out of a playoff spot last week, and 10 is still 6 games out of a playoff spot this week. But yes,
Great.
I closed one game. I made one game up. Yay, one game.
Well, that's how I feel at 5-5. I'm just like, yay, I'm still in seventh place now. I'm good. I'm really close. Still, it's like I'm still really close, but just not quite there. Jim on our commission put answering a question from the podcast last week. Single week record, which then I found I didn't even realize on the site. There's this like, oh, I just click here to see all the records. Pretty impressive. But Jim gave us the answers: 44 runs this year by Krabs, 16 home runs by Krabs, 44 ribbies was the high, but Krabs had 54 this week. 13 stolen bases by Chop was the high this year. Average of 320 for the week was by Creek Expos. Wins 8 by SoCal Stat Stuffers, the high this year. 7 saves by Atlanta Braves, 87 Ks by Baltimore Chop, and Atlanta Braves with a 1.31 ERA and a Lollygaggers with a 0.75 WHIP. Those are the season highs in the matchups
Some good numbers there. But that
for the
RBI
weeks.
one,
For the week,
like
single
any,
weeks record, single
yeah,
weeks record.
that RBI one of 44, I already thought was crazy. Because I was like, when you hit 40 1 week, I was like, is that the highest? And then it was looked at like, whoa, 44 RBI in 1 week is pretty high. But 54 this week? Like, so
Well,
it almost like 25% more, a new record? That's a lot.
it's a lot. And I found this little button there. I was like, oh, a link on the team page, the league page, and it has all the records for this week single week all time, single week this year, and then the season. And one thing I wanted to bring up was, and it's crazy to me, but 80 runs batted in by Lumber Company in 2023 is a single week record. And I thought, wow, that's a lot. Then I thought, you know what? It was probably one of those weeks where it was like 3 games after the All Star break or before. You know what I mean? And so
Oh yeah.
a double week,
Yeah.
which is really not a double week, like a week and a half, 10 games or so.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
but because I was like, 80 freebies in a week, that's the most ever in the league. So, but it's pretty interesting to see the record book. It's right there for people to see if they didn't look at it. And we'll go through it one day. But another post put, and I think it's a good observation by Momos, was he said, I noticed that a lot of people don't make it to the lineup in day games. He's like, I noticed in multiple
Well,
leagues that sometimes daytime game baseball players don't make it to the lineup on time. And it is true. That day after a night game, some of those big name players or older players, they might get that day off on that early game.
oh yeah. Especially catchers. You know, that's like if you're ever gonna rest a catcher, it's the day after a night game, usually.
So I'm looking at the board. I love the message board. Wake up! It's time for starting pitcher Sunday by Momo is a good observation. But you know what, Steve? I actually picked up 2 starters that I ended up starting, and then one of them, and then like I said, I sat starters later in the day to preserve a win and whip. But I was looking for starters on Saturday night, right? Like I'm like, who's starting tomorrow? So I can't go by the check
Hmm.
mark. I got to go look at the schedule and then go to, I got to go a little more back and forth. And there weren't a lot of starters available. Like not just starters I want, but even starters in general
For s- for the weekend.
for Sunday.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I looked and there was a low amount because sometimes you can look and there's like 6, 7, 8, maybe a great day would be 9 or 10 available probables. But I did look over the weekend on one of the days. I forget if it was Saturday or Sunday, and there was like 5 guys as probables, and I was like, oh, and they were all stinky,
They're all
stinky poo.
stinky. We had some back and forth, and Tim Braves I think was going against Momos, and and I think Momos was up most of the week, and Tim made up. The Atlanta Braves made up some ground on Sunday to tie it 5-5, but the Atlanta Braves described their team, not for me. It won't do me any good. My team is in a 3-week horse chip. So Atlanta Braves feeling the consecutive. What are the last 3 weeks for the Braves or so? Having a bad run of 3 or 4 weeks, and then they also had. True, it also odd that the week started with a 16-7 starting pitcher advantage. Crazy. Momo's had a lot of pitchers going.
Yeah, the
You
Braves.
had a whole bunch of 2-star pitchers this week, said the Braves. So very,
It,
I love the activity on the board. I like reading it. But that ended up being a 5-5 ties. And Momo's, I think, and as a guest podcaster would say, I thought I had the week. I was ahead most of the week. So let's go to the move, Steve, because in this incredible league where there's 10 teams still in it, and first place is not playing well, and anybody could even finish in first, these moves are important because the weeks are dwindling and the 6-4 win is better than a 5-5 tie or a 7-3 win. All the little categories we see, the 364, 360, I mean, they're tied in ERA. We don't know the next number. The point being, every move you make adds up and matters.
and one thing I was thinking about, so 5 weeks left if you count this one. There's 4 weeks after this.
Right,
Um, right? But
right,
one of those weeks will be a long one, like you just described, because of the All Star break.
right.
Okay, so if you count today one as a week, if of the 5 remaining full weeks, one of those weeks is going to be a 2 week span that gets like 9 or 10 games in it.
Yeah, probably like tennis games, and it'll be like a Wild West shootout. It'll be crazy numbers. And it'll be interesting when what the matchups are for that week. Who you're going against matters. But we had some interesting pickups this past week, and I'm going to start on Tuesday, June 30th. I will say on Monday, 29th, the Braves picked up DeLauder, which I thought was a nice pickup, and dropped Riley.
Yeah, I did too.
I like the Lauder. I have him in my money roto league. And Tuesday, Ramos was picked up by SoCal Stuff for a Monday, and Diaz was dropped, the catcher. And then on Tuesday, you pick up Sprout, who's been pitching well, and dropped. Was the closer. I don't think closing much anymore. Probably will get some saves. Dominguez, Sir Anthony.
Sir Anthony Dominguez, yeah, he actually, yeah, he has like, whatever, saves on the year or something, but he's only got one in the last month, and his ERA and WHIP are horrible over that time. I just stockpiling starters, and Sprout has been playing well.
Steve, were you up early that morning?
Oh yeah, I think, yeah, I think that was got up, he got some fresh water, was checking my phone, and did that move.
I love it. I love it. Late night, gotta go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. I'm gonna check my team and make a move. You picked up a good one, Sprout, and at 4:49 in the morning, and it seems like I answered because at 5:25 in the morning, I picked up a guy who will get saves for Sir Anthony Dominguez spots, and he has picked up a save, but it was not at all an answer. I just been getting up at 5 a.m. lately, the past month or so, and I picked up Taylor. And I like Taylor. We brought him up before. And I dropped Lyle, who's been playing pretty well for the highest scoring team in the major leagues. The Expos are second now behind the Dodgers. But still, the Expos, the
Yeah,
Nationals,
that's
the
wacky.
Nationals, sorry. I call them the Expos. Because, I remember the Expos. You remember the Expos, Steve?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just saw an Instagram reel the other day that was advertising T-shirts, and it showed a vintage Montreal Expos T-shirt. And I've never represented that. I've never been to that part of Canada or anything, but it looked so good. I was like,
Right.
could I buy Could I buy and wear an Expos shirt? Nah, that wouldn't be
No,
right.
you can't. But they're the Nationals. But if you're from Canada, I think you could totally get away with it, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So then Lyle was dropped by me, and then Luis Robert Jr. was picked up by me and George Springer. A couple veterans there. I dropped Springer because he was playing well for a few games, and then overall this season he has been a disappointment, as is Guerrero, as has been the Blue Jays.
Yeah, their hitting really has been struggling. Although then they have a couple of those guys like Clement that are playing great. Like the
Yeah,
lesser players are playing great.
but think about it. Based on last year's stat, Guerrero and Springer are two of your bigger horses.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they've
They
both been
should be.
sneaky. Yeah, they've been sneaky poo poo. And Guerrero just, I think, is injured now. Robert Jr., guy coming off the IL, the injured list, not the DL. And, that's just a shot in the dark. I had an IL spot. I figured, let's see if he's going to play well when he comes off the IL.
Sure.
B. Alexander
It's
was
a,
added by the Chop. He plays every position, second, third, shortstop, and outfielder. He's with the Orioles, isn't he?
he, yeah, and I would nominate him too as a player like most picked up and dropped by different teams in our league.
B.
He's
Alexander
definitely
from the Orioles.
yeah, I think he's been on 4 teams now.
Well, I like that the Baltimore Chop picked him up because he's an Oriole. They also picked up E. Valdez, first baseman outfielder, and dropped Elder, who was so hot in the beginning of the year, but is not hot lately. SoCal
No, he's
stat
bad
stuffers, he's
lately.
bad. Elder. It's a shame. You see that a lot. A lot of these young guys that come out of nowhere, or veterans, but happens a lot with younger guys. They pitch really well for a month or two, and then the season catches up with them,
Yep.
or the hitters catch up with them. And then Feed, pitcher, was picked up by SoCal. Jin was dropped. Humboldt, number one team in the league, picked up N. Cameron and dropped Gasser.
Yeah, I think I dropped Cameron, right?
You might have before. Did you have Cameron before? You would know. Tigers picked up Siegler, the infielder, and dropped El Avila. And then the Humboldt Crabs picked up Swanson. Dansby Swanson for $2. Drop Cameron then.
Yeah, well, Cameron's just a streaming pitcher, but
Absolutely. Just a streamer.
The Swanson story is amazing. I mean, it's amazing. He was ranked like 187th. And now what is he ranked? Now I think he's ranked, last I looked, he was like 49th.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
it went way up there in a span of like 2 weeks.
Well, he's one of those, savvy veterans, Steve, right? That's been around. And like we said before, you hope they're going to come around. But it really all kind of started for him on the 20th of June. He went 2 for 3, 2 for 3, 5 for 9. Then he had 3 0 for 4s, 4 0 for 4s, but then went 2 for 4, 3 for 4, 3 for 5.
with a lot of home runs and RBI. A lot.
A lot. So, I totally understand spending $2 on that. As you know, I like to spend the money in this league. Maybe Krabs needed a shortstop temporarily or looking for one who's hot. Always looking for the hot player. Engel was dropped by the Bells, the catcher. Bells then picked up Kramer and dropped Jordan.
Jordan, yeah, one of the prospects from the Cardinals who had a lot of power, but nothing really has been going on. He's not worth holding on to.
I will say
And
Bells is in on the prospects and young guys, I've noticed.
yeah, and Kramer
I like that. He's
is,
finding the gems early.
yeah, Kramer's been pitching good. So he's a guy who's picking up steam as a streamer.
Well, let's see if he made it through the week. Bells added Torres, second baseman, and dropped Estevez and then added Sonoja. Is that how you say his name? Sonoja?
I, I don't really know. I haven't heard that
Sanojo.
name said.
Sanojo. Maybe Sanojo. Sanojo sounds good. Either way, no disrespect, but I was looking at that player, second base, third base, shortstop, outfield, hitting really well lately. Not a lot of power. Plays for the Marlins, I believe.
The Marlins are another team where they've got a bunch of hitters up and down the lineup, young kids who are putting the ball in play. They're making a lot of contact and they're getting on base, and maybe not a lot of big giant sluggers and pushing runs in and hitting for good slugging percentage, but
Well, Steve,
they got usable guys.
I'm glad you brought up the Marlins. And a little segue here. They're 49 and 42, 7 games above 500. And they just had a pitcher who came off, one of their better pitchers, Perez, came off the IL recently, threw 7 perfect innings, then took Perez out. Because, 97 pitches, just came off the IL, injury history, thinking ahead. And when you're 7 games above 500 and only 4.5 games back of the league, you start thinking things like that, right? They are tied with St. Louis for the third wild card, technically. Lower winning percentage. So Miami took out a perfect game to preserve their almost lost it. Their bullpen gave up like 7, 8 runs or something, but held on for the win. But the Marlins, these young players, like you're saying, they're playing way above their heads.
Yeah, for sure. If they could just have one of their bats turn into a legitimate, 30, 35 home run, middle of the order bat, they might be ready to take off.
They might be ready to take off. And the funny thing is, you're looking at them. Usually they would be a seller at the trade deadline, but this year, maybe not so much. I like seeing a young team play so well, not expected to. That was an MLB segue off road trip with Stephen Dam. And that was Lee, who was picked up, a reliever by SoCal Stat Stuffers, Sentazella. He is injured, I believe. He was dropped. Then you dropped B. Brown.
He
Oh, you know something about the
Sensatella is a guy who was ranked high because he was getting a lot of wins out of the bullpen. Like he got a lot of wins, like maybe 6 wins in the first 2 months.
Wow, yes,
So
out of the bullpen.
he was pitching well, but he has not been pitching well for the past maybe 4 weeks.
And now injured, I believe.
Right, maybe.
Brown was dropped by you, B. Brown. Did you get a spot start? Didn't go so well.
No, he's injured and I think done for the year, or
Ah,
at least done long enough that I needed the roster space. You
right.
know,
No, Seymour, the pitcher, was added, and you also added Carpenter, who, listen, last year really not on the free agent list as much as this year, but not a bad possible bat in your pickup of Carpenter.
yeah. I mean Seymour. I'm gathering starters, streaming starters. He's been on a
Wednesday.
hot. He's
Yep.
been pitching well. He's been pitching well. Carpenter was just he only plays against righties, doesn't
Yes.
play against lefties at all. But that was just because I had a bunch of outfielders with the day off, so I picked him up for the day.
Well, Carpenter had a really good year last year.
He
26
did.
homers. Yeah, I mean, technically on pace for 26 homers, um, but not playing as well. And like you said, only plays against righties. Well, then we
Yeah.
go back into the pickups and the transactions this week, and we see after you made that, Miles was picked up, a streamer, Vargas was dropped, Gonzalez, that was by IP Tigers. No, way to go, IP Tigers, making moves. SoCal Stat Stuffers, Gonzalez was added, Atlanta Braves added, Waldrop dropped Roop. Roop is a pitcher who was pitching really well in the beginning of the year. Went through a little, some
And
hardship, but
Waldrop,
pitching better. Waldrop's pitching well, isn't it?
I think he just got activated off the IL, but
Right.
he was a
Didn't,
rookie that came on strong for the Braves. Was it, if it wasn't last year, it was the year before. But anyways, he still has high upside. He's young.
did he have a
He has
start
pitched well.
this weekend?
I think I think he had a start this weekend.
We'll have to go look real quick. Then Killen was picked up, possible closer. Amaya was dropped, the starter from the Cubs. That was by Krabs. Jay Bell picked up. That was a guy who's going to get picked up
Starter
and drop a lot.
for the Astros.
Waldrop.
Matsui
Oh,
Amaya
Amaya.
is
Oh,
for
is
the
he from the
Astros.
Astros?
Yeah.
My bad. I'm thinking somebody else. Bell picked up and dropped a lot. Lorenzen was dropped in that transaction of veteran players. Rumfield added by Lollygagger is a good ad. Rumfield hitting well if you need a corner or first baseman, a utility. And then Lollygagger's picked up Jin, who's picked up and dropped a lot, and dropped Tang. It sounds like a drink you get after school. And
Yep.
Lollygagger's in with a big move. This guy, I don't know anything about this guy. Blue Bog.
Yeah. He's like a middle relief guy for the Astros who's similar to Sensatella, can generate wins and I think an occasional save, but he's been pitching okay.
Is it Blog or a Blog? I don't know, but I like that name. It's fun. Springs was dropped. There's a pitcher you'll see picked up and dropped. Gonzalez then picked up by you. Carpenter dropped. You got a day or so from Carpenter. Peralta dropped by Bells. That guy not having a good year. The Mets just really awful. You think he's regretting signing with the Mets?
Well, he got traded, right? Yeah,
Oh,
he
he got
got traded
traded. Right. That's
in
right.
a deal that got Sproat back to Milwaukee, and like three prospects.
He's been
But
awful.
yeah, I mean, I was just looking this morning because he's now like dropped and available in this league and our big money Roto league, and that's crazy. So I was looking at his numbers and his stats on Fangraphs, and yeah, I don't know what's happening. It's like the worst year by far. He's like falling off a cliff. It's terrible.
Well,
Like his walk rate, his strike rate, his swinging strike rate, it's his hard hit rate. It's like what the hell happened?
he's only had one whip in 2024 of 1.22. Besides that, his whips have always been very low since 21. He's got a high whip. Obviously, he's walking more, like you just said. He's striking out less. His ERA is
Way less.
4.82. He's never had an ERA of 4.82 since 2019, his second year in the league. So, doesn't
Yeah,
like New
look what
York,
and
not healthy, or just not pitching well.
yeah. Yeah, and bad for him because he's an unrestricted free
He's a
agent
free
after
agent.
the
That's right. He's
season.
a free agent this year. They probably won't. He won't want to sign with them after the year he's having. That's for sure. I mean, right? Like you're like, I don't know what's up with me, but I'm definitely not coming back here.
Yeah, no, he's gone. But yeah, he's costing himself some money, obviously.
Absolutely. Then Mullins was picked up by the Bells and Sonoja. That guy we were just talking about from the Marlins was dropped, a multi-position player. Raptor then picked Arrighetti up and dropped Fuentes. Juiced up for summer, picked up Wells and dropped Saccone. Saccone's been pitching well, hasn't they?
Yeah, stream worthy for sure.
Stream
Definitely
worthy
stream
for
worthy.
sure. Not nothing great. Someone else will pick up Saccone along the way. Littell was speaking of pitchers who are streamed. Littell was picked up. Arrighetti was dropped by Raptor, both pitchers. And then now we're into Saturday. Those last few moves, and Rooker was dropped by Bells to do something. And then I picked up this guy, Libertor. Here's a guy we've said his name many times.
Yep, he's in the running. I don't know if he can make top five, but he's definitely top 10 most added and dropped.
And I dropped Baez, a guy that I'm hoping the Cardinals will call up. So I picked him up preemptively and just, there's just not enough roster space to hold on to somebody. We don't have a minor league slot.
Yeah, no, it's rough.
It's rough. So I had him for a couple weeks, and I'm like, gotta drop you. I hope I grab you before they activate you from the minor leagues. Avila was picked up by Momo's. Perkins dropped. This is Sunday now. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Speaking of those Sunday moves, like Momo said right there, starting pitcher. Lyle was picked up, who I dropped. Paredes was dropped by the Braves, and the Braves really.
Fridays, Fridays though, he has some good weeks. If you get him on a good week, he could. He's awesome.
I was about to say this is a surprising multi-position player playing pretty good. But yes, he is a streaky hitter. I picked up Art Johnson and dropped Barnett, a reliever, a guy Johnson I started, but no, a guy I ended up not starting. At the end of the night, Droan was picked up by Momos. Avila was dropped. Another starting pitcher move. Engler was picked up, a relief pitcher, and Gonzalez dropped by SoCal Stat Stuffers. Molly, is it Molly or Mal? Was picked up. Littell
Molly.
was dropped.
Yeah.
Molly was picked up. Another, these names, Molly, Littell. I mean, all these guys are guys that we see a lot being picked up and dropped on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially.
Oh yeah, they're just in there for the one and done.
Caratini was picked up. I probably had catcher was on the bench that day, so getting some extra bats. Krabs picked up Catini, dropped Castro, multi-position player. The Braves picked up Mitchell, dropped Canzone or Canzoni, and
Kenzo.
Canzone. They've had a pretty good year. Have they cooled off?
Kenzo's good. He had a concussion injury, I think,
Ah,
recently. Like he
yeah.
missed some time. So he's got to get back going after that. But he's a platoon guy too. He's a lefty, only faces righties. He's on the bench against lefties. But if you can make it work, he's actually good. He's having one of those Jock Peterson type years.
Right. So he'll be picked up by somebody. Jeff was picked up by Raptor in the catching spot. Goldschmidt drop. Having a great year, not playing all the time. Sears, this was a great pickup. I wanted to bring up. Sears was picked up by Raptor. And the
Elite
elite
pickup.
pickup. Sears was picked up by Raptor. That was the last move. 10 moves made on Sunday, by the way. So
Wow.
Raptor picks up Sears to pitch. And Sears won 5 innings, 0 ERA, 0.60 whip, 5 Ks. Got the win. That was against the Dodgers, I believe.
I know. I thought that was a ballsy pickup. Like
Oh,
I'm not in the mood to stream anybody against the Dodgers. I'm just not. you know.
well, it
As
paid off, right?
Oh yeah, huge gamble, awesome. Love when you make it get the long shot.
Absolutely. And because they won the win category 5-4.
Yeah,
They barely lost the K category 60-59. So almost with that move, got 2 categories, but did take the win category because of that game in a 6-4 win over IP Tigers. So an elite move by Raptor. And like you said, very gutsy.
yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't even start my own pitchers, but pitchers worth keeping on your roster, like at Dodger Stadium, let alone a streamer.
Absolutely. And then Lopez was picked up today. Keelan, possible closer, was dropped. How do you pronounce that name, Steve? Pfaadt.
I think it's like FAT, like
Fott.
FAHT,
I'm from Pennsylvania,
FAHT.
so sometimes I have issues. So Fott was picked up by me, possible starter, and then Russing was picked up by me, just playing a catcher position. So Steve, I'm going against Creek Expos this week. And so I made one pitching move, and I was thinking about making another pitching move. Then I realized, Creek Expos usually comes in right about, 25 to 30 innings, 25 to 35 innings. So I don't think I need to scramble for extra pitchers unless I see some moves being
Hmm,
made.
I see what you're saying. Look at you
Look at
thinking
me
things
thinking things through.
thinking things. Yeah, thinking things through.
Look at me
Yeah,
thinking.
I just looked up, looking at this week. So I'm playing Juiced Up for Summer. So that's 8 versus 3.
Yeah, that's a big matchup. I
Humboldt
was just looking at that.
Humboldt's playing Lollygaggers. So that's 1 versus 14.
But Lollygaggers
Braves
just
and
had a big showing, remember?
yep, yep. The number 6 Braves playing the number 9 Bells. That's another big one.
That's a big one. Braves has been scuffling with 5-5 tie last week.
11th versus 7th, Expos versus Stony. 12th, IP Tigers is playing the 5th Baltimore Chop.
Chop coming off a
13th,
loss, I think, and Tigers a good showing last week.
13th Lumber Company against number 2 Raptor. That's a, and then Awesome's Momo 4 playing number 10 Stat Stuffers.
So
SoCal.
with those matchups, we could definitely see some shuffling depending on the week and what happens. And like you said, next week will be a long week of extra games.
Oh right, yeah. The All Star Week is All Star game this week.
It's
Yeah,
next
like
week.
this Sunday or
No,
like Monday or whatever.
it's yeah, I think. Let's take a look. There should be a note from the league, shouldn't there? League announcements. No, there are no announcements. So usually they kind of note like, you know what
All
I'm
right,
saying?
last game Sunday. All Star. The Home Run Derby's Monday, and then the All Star game's Tuesday. That's
Right,
right.
but they come back playing Thursday or Friday. So that
Yeah,
next week
Friday.
will be, yeah, about, 9 to 10 game week. So that you remember you only have 5 moves over that week and a half.
Oh, and then so let's look this up then. So not this week, but the next week.
And the long
Eight
matchup,
plays
the long matchup week.
in the long matchup week. 8 plays 11. 1 plays 5. 6 plays 14. 12 plays 13. 3 plays 4. 9 plays 10, and 2 plays 7. You play Raptor in that week.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, one good
Yeah.
thing is it's still only 25 innings pitched. But there are, and those numbers and where they're placed right now will be different probably after this week, but pretty much close to that. So we have some interesting long week matchups for next week and this week. And Steve, this league just keeps getting tighter.
Yeah. It's cool how tight it is getting down the stretch.
And
Definitely makes it fun.
everybody's staying active. It does make it fun. And I just love this league. It's the Field of Dreams head-to-head league on Yahoo. One of the few with its own podcast. I'm Dan O'Day. That's Steve Romano. Cheers.
Have a good one.